Hey, this is Pete Davis from the Tennis Learning Center. Look us up at socotennis.com. Today I'm going to talk to you about the importance of the wrist in tennis. And with me to help demonstrate is Craig. The wrist is a pretty amazing joint in that it can move in multiple directions and into various positions. Understanding the function of the wrist as it relates to tennis will help you execute shots with better consistency, placement, and spin. Flexion and extension. The wrist can flex and extend. And this is what flexion and extension look like with a racket. The wrist flexes when I use a throwing motion, as in this overhead, or on the follow-through of his serve. The wrist extends on my forehand backswing, or on this forehand volley. Radial and ulnar deviation, how each looks with a racket in hand. Notice that radial deviation keeps the racket head above the wrist, and that ulnar deviation lets the racket head hang lower than the wrist. The wrist is in radial deviation when I volley or slice forehands and backhands. I need a high start in order to impart backspin. The wrist is in ulnar deviation when I need a low start for topspin. Pronation and supination. Although it's really the forearm that rotates the wrist, I like to include pronation and supination in the discussion. Notice on my forehand that when the wrist is prone, the racket face is closed, meaning the strings are aiming down, and that when the wrist is supine, the face is open, meaning the strings are aiming up. The opposite is true of the backhand. On the forward stroke of the forehand, I may use pronation to impart topspin. On shots that need to rise, like this low volley or this lob, I supinate the wrist in order to achieve an open racket face. So here's one exercise you can do on the court that's going to help build up strength in your wrist. And it's called downs. You basically dribble the ball in place. Now that's building up the muscle in your forearm. Remember to have fun on the courts. This is Pete Davis from the Tennis Learning Center. Look us up at socotennis.com.